Acetaminophen might not be as safe as you thought or even as we thought.
Wait, are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you.
Welcome to Talking with Docs. I'm Dr. Paul Zalzal.
I'm Dr. Brad Weening. Welcome to our channel.
Before we start,
Yes.
if you're sick of looking at us, you can just listen to us on a podcast.
Check it out on Spotify, YouTube Music, as well as Apple
Our
Podcasts.
brilliant producer, Hamza Aziz, has finagled somehow to put all the stuff we say together in a podcast without looking at us. Not sure what he's trying to say, but
Yeah, I know. It's hurtful.
message received.
So we're talking about acetaminophen. There have been lots of studies on acetaminophen in the past, but more recently in December of 2024, there was a study out of the University of Nottingham where they looked at people that took acetaminophen and people that didn't take acetaminophen and saw, do they have any negative health consequences that can be,
Paracetamol, as they
Paracetamol
say in some parts of the
Yes,
world.
yes,
Right?
chips.
Same thing.
chips.
Chips versus fries. Acetaminophen versus paracetamol.
Right.
Bonnet versus trunk.
There you go.
On the
In
car.
bonnet.
Endless words that we've changed slightly. However, I used to give acetaminophen at Halloween like a treat, man. That's how safe we thought it was.
Honestly, I've literally said the phrase, you can take a fistful, it's fine, doesn't cause a problem.
Having said that, actually the first, in med school, emerge rotation, first overdose case we had was a young woman who did overdose on acetaminophen.
Oh, horrible.
It was horrible. She pulled through, but it jarred me for life.
Sure. So this study specifically was looking at older patients, so 65 and older. Like I said, that one group, 180,000 people who had been prescribed Tylenol twice, a minimum of twice in the last 6 months. Acetaminophen, sorry. Yes, twice in the last 6 months. And then the control group or the comparative group was 400,000 people who had not been prescribed acetaminophen or paracetamol.
Okay. So you've got a randomized controlled trial, or at least a case placebo-controlled, or at least a case-controlled trial.
Yes. So observational study. So again, we cannot prove causation.
So not a randomized controlled, double-blinded placebo trial.
We're just looking at a big group of people. They did this, that's different than this group, and what was different about them. So we're going to talk mainly about 4 systems. So the liver, the kidney, the gut, and the heart, which other than the brain, it's pretty much everything.
Okay, but before we start, we have to say, well, what is acetaminophen?
Yes.
It's an analgesic, so it's a painkiller that's used all around the world to control pain.
Yes.
It acts mostly in the central nervous system, as opposed to like an aspirin or a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug that acts more peripherally.
Right.
That's why NSAIDs can like reduce swelling and inflammation peripherally, but Tylenol or acetaminophen does not usually do that.
Right.
Okay. Because it is mostly acting centrally. However, there is some crossover with some of the biochemical effects that it has with non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. Right. And why is this a big deal that this analgesic may not be great for you? Well, the big deal is because, newsflash, we do not have a lot of options for pain control.
That are safe.
That are safe. We really, really don't. We have acetaminophen.
Yep.
We have non-steroidal anti-inflammatories.
Which have their own host of problems.
Yeah, and we've talked about those before. And we have narcotics.
Which I think have some problems now.
Yeah, especially globally and especially when used not as prescribed.
Yes.
So, I mean, maybe a couple of little things here and there, but really...
It's complicated.
Those are really our main methods of controlling pain.
Yeah.
One of those classes of medications.
So and having said that, it's not even great at controlling pain. Particularly for our group of patients, our arthritis patients, good studies show it's not the best. Yeah. But we say, listen, try this. It might not work, but it's pretty safe. But I think now we probably have to maybe change our speech a little bit.
Yeah. Well, add a caution to it.
Absolutely. And because what happens to any medication when it comes in our bodies, it gets broken down. The liver does the lion's share of breaking down of everything in our bodies. And thankfully, our livers are very robust organs. They can even regenerate and they can tolerate a lot of insult without having irreversible consequences.
And that's one of the reasons we thought this was so safe, because we know NSAIDs or non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, that your ibuprofen, ASA, those kind of medications, they're metabolized and excreted by the kidney mostly, okay? And so they can cause kidney damage. However, because of this has a hepatic pathway going through the liver, that is the organ that is of main concern, and it's through which the liver metabolism ends up affecting these other systems. Right. But that's why we thought it was so safe, because it's not going through the kidneys. We didn't think.
Right. And so when acetaminophen is broken down in the liver, it's broken down, and one of the key kind of metabolites is a molecule called NAPQI.
NAPQI, N-A-P-Q-I.
Yes, and it stands for N-acetyl-P-benzoquinone imine.
You should take a nap. after that.
That's right. So this is the toxic metabolite that normally in lower doses, or when you are younger and you have robust function throughout your body, we can normally mop it up with something called glutathione. Glutathione is a critical molecule in our body that deals with NAPQI and other toxic substances. It reduces free radical generation.
An antioxidant.
It mops up free radicals as well as has anti-inflammatory properties. But what happens when you receive too much acetaminophen for too long and in a susceptible host? So we're talking about people as we get older, because our glutathione supply starts to go down as we age, as well as we accumulate damage to our organs. This becomes more of an issue.
Right. And so that aspect of it has far-reaching consequences to the other systems of the body.
Okay.
So let's start with the liver first.
Okay, makes sense.
Right? It's a hepatic metabolite that's going to affect the liver.
Yep.
And so in chronic use,
yes,
or too high a dose of it taken can cause liver toxicity.
Right.
Like we just said, and the implications with glutathione and that. Right. With the liver.
Best ways to mitigate these risks when it comes to the liver is take as recommended, take as little as necessary. And we think that's sensible for any medication, prescription or non-prescription.
Yeah.
The other thing is don't take it with other liver toxic substances.
Such as
wait
alcohol.
For it. Yeah.
Unfortunately, alcohol is also metabolized in the liver and can cause liver damage. So when you give it the double whammy of the acetaminophen and the alcohol, there you really put the strain on the liver.
And we've talked before about how when alcohol is broken down, acetaldehyde is one of the toxic compounds, and our livers kind of try to deal with this. Yeah. And if you're overwhelmed with the acetaminophen and the alcohol now, your liver's working hard and eventually reaches a maximum functional capacity, and then damage is done.
Right.
And this could be hepatitis, or could even lead to full-blown cirrhosis.
Right. And usually that's the first thing you reach for after a night of too much drinking is some Tylenol the next day.
Yeah, ironically.
And you're already...
You mean acetaminophen?
Yeah. What did I say?
Tylenol. Name brand recognition. Way to go, Tylenol people. Okay?
Right?
It's like the Kleenex people.
It's been generic for years.
I know. Okay.
Is it Paris? What is Paris?
Paracetamol, essentially the same molecule.
I know it is the same molecule, but is it still what's a proprietary name?
No, I think it's genericized.
Yeah, I know, but what was the proprietary name in the UK?
Don't know. Probably Tylenol. I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
So number 2 is kidney function, which is, if you talk about toxins in our body, probably liver's number 1.
Yes.
Kidneys are probably number 2.
Yes.
And so with respect to the mechanism, it's the same. Oxidative stress, inflammation. They believe there is a potentially direct nephrotoxic effect to the kidneys with high doses of acetaminophen. So what does this mean for us? It means your creatinine could go up. It means your GFR, your clearance function, can go down.
Your blood pressure can go up.
Your blood pressure can go up. Some people think this may be regulated by prostaglandins, which affect even the blood supply to the kidneys.
We'll get to that when we get to cardiovascular.
We will.
Right.
So the best way to avoid this is, like before, lowest dose possible, shortest duration, but also stay hydrated. So one of the best ways to protect your kidneys from any toxic substance is to stay hydrated.
Hydration.
And to your point before, when you drink excessive amounts of alcohol, it dehydrates you.
Yeah.
So you're really putting yourself at risk. It's number 2.
Triple whammy.
Okay.
3, the GI tract.
Yep.
The GI tract is at risk, which is ironic. And that's one of the reasons, I swear we used to tell people you can take acetaminophen, it's going to be easy on your stomach, unlike an anti-inflammatory.
And even, to be honest, to the point where when you feel like, oh, it hurts my stomach, I'm like, really?
Yeah, come on.
It's actually safe for your stomach.
No, it's safe for your stomach.
Safe for your stomach.
So what we've seen in the literature is that, no, it may not be safe for your stomach. Some of the studies have shown a 24% increase in peptic ulcer disease. And lower GI bleed increased by 36%.
Which is hard to comprehend.
That's over a third of an increase in lower GI bleed. So it's something, this is news. This is news to many clinicians, many healthcare practitioners, and many people using acetaminophen. It does have a direct effect on your GI tract, a negative effect.
Right, and relates to that chronic inflammation and oxidative stress. They think there may be a local effect. Some people say it could disrupt your gut microbiome, so you could lead with a leaky gut and more toxins could get in. There's a host of different mechanisms proposed. They don't exactly know, but what they do know is that people that take more Tylenol compared to no Tylenol have more of these kind of problems, which is really scary, to be honest with you.
Again, and so how do you mitigate this? Take the lowest possible dose for the lowest possible time.
Yeah. Okay, the last one, and probably the big one that we all fear the most because it kills the most people, is cardiovascular disease.
Yes, it is one of the number 1 killers worldwide, isn't it?
And it's a big umbrella, so that could be high blood pressure, can be heart failure, can even be atrial fibrillation. These are things that are correlated with Tylenol use. Again, back to the same, we've talked about it a million times. Chronic oxidative stress, chronic inflammation is very hard on your body, and your body breaks down slowly. And they've shown that people that take Tylenol regularly versus
Acetaminophen.
take acetaminophen regularly have higher blood pressure, and people that already have high blood pressure have higher blood pressures when they take acetaminophen. And again, this is something that I just probably was not totally appreciating.
Well, I think I remember the number about like 5.
Yeah, 3 to 5 millimeters
of mercury,
which is what we talk about being the benefit of a lot of the dietary and other lifestyle modifications. So you're throwing away those benefits just by reaching for a couple of acetaminophen.
So what do you do? What do
Okay.
you do if you got a bad headache?
Right. So I think the first answer is sometimes you just have to take it. And so we're not talking about one episode or taking it twice in a day.
No.
This is more chronic dosing. So,
and in people who are
older,
senior, like more in the older population, over 65, a lot of these studies.
So as we get older, it gets tricky. So if you have chronic pain, you have to be very careful with the amount that you use, the duration, and then avoid the other things. So don't take it with alcohol. Stay hydrated. If you have other diseases, be careful and talk to your family doctor about even whether or not acetaminophen is safe.
And in combination with, there was some evidence that in combination with an anti-inflammatory, some of these effects are compounded.
Right.
Which is ironic because recently, and actually it's in Canada, we recently had preparations of acetaminophen mixed with an ibuprofen.
Literally the same pill.
Like in the same pill.
I thought that was a great idea.
Yeah, that's brilliant. However, there is some evidence that the superposition of these two medications, however, in those one pill preparations, if you'll notice, the dosages are much smaller than if you took some ibuprofen and you took some acetaminophen from separate bottles. In the one pill, the doses are lower. So,
and to the point where I think there have been policy changes that limit the dosage that can even be prescribed to help protect people at the governmental level in the U.S. for sure.
Is that right?
Yeah, where I think
are those going to stick around?
Okay, so what I would say is if you're a younger person, you're taking acetaminophen every now and then, it's probably not an issue.
No.
If you are an older individual or has chronic medical conditions and you're taking it a lot for a long period of time, you should consider reducing your dose as well as taking a break, as well as discussing with your family doctor.
Yeah.
Having some screening.
Don't take it for an extended period of time. Only take it as needed. And I find with medications too like that. If I only take it when I need it, it seems to work better. Right? Because it does work for me. If I have a headache, like after filming these videos, for example.
Like right now.
Like now, if I take acetaminophen, it does work for me personally, but I definitely do not take it on a regular basis.
Agreed.
It does appear in a lot of cold remedies too.
It's snuck in there. Even some of the narcotic combinations that we use post-operatively, it's snuck in a little bit. So just beware. The purpose of this video is to let people know, hey, we used to say it was totally safe. It is generally safe, but it does have some associated risk like any pill.
Yeah, and it happens to be, one important class of analgesic.
Yes.
I mean, it's one medication, but it's a class of its own, really.
Yep.
And we don't have a lot of choices for pain control, pharmacological control anyway. So
leave a comment if you have an experience with acetaminophen or something else for pain that maybe works, because everybody's looking for a way to do it safely, but control their pain. Chronic pain is a huge problem. If you like this video, please like it, subscribe to our channel, share it with someone that you think is beneficial, and be sure to check out our podcast.
Remember, you are in charge of your own health.
See you next time.